Hey Reddit, you ever look back at a moment in your life and wonder how the hell you didn't see the truth staring you in the face the whole time? Because that's exactly how I feel when I think about my ex-wife Emily, and the years I spent believing every heartbreaking story that came out of her mouth. Stories so compelling and emotional, I would have sworn they were ripped straight from some award-winning drama, instead of being fabricated by the woman I promised to spend my life with. And the hook, the moment everything shattered, came the day I traveled to the town she claimed to have grown up in, and discovered that not a single word she'd told me about her past was true. But let me start at the beginning. I met Emily in 2020 in a tiny southern town called Harper Creek, the kind of place where Friday nights meant high school football, where everyone ate at the same diner, and where people had lived in the same houses for generations. I had just moved there from Indiana after getting hired as a supervisor at a manufacturing plant, and Emily was the bright, smiling elementary school librarian who seemed to know everyone and everything about Harper Creek. She walked into the local farmer's market one Saturday morning wearing a sunflower dress, ordered the same cinnamon vanilla latte I always ordered, and when our drinks got swapped accidentally, she laughed in this soft, warm way that made the entire place feel lighter. That was how it started, one mislabeled latte, and a conversation that lasted nearly an hour. She told me she was new to town too, that she had moved there for a fresh start, and that her childhood had been hard, really hard. She shared with tears in her eyes how she had grown up in a broken home, how her parents were abusive, how she spent nights locked in closets, how she was neglected, how she raised her younger brother on her own, and how a tragic car accident had taken him from her when he was only 16. I remember feeling my chest physically ache for her. I'd never met anyone who carried that much pain but still smiled so sweetly. I fell for her too fast in hindsight. And within a year we were married in a small courthouse ceremony with just a few friends from my work and two neighbors she had grown close to. At first, married life felt perfect. Emily cooked, laughed, lit candles in every room, told me about the kids she worked with, and seemed endlessly grateful for the quiet stability our life provided. But slowly, so slowly, I almost didn't notice things about her stories stopped lining up. Sometimes her tragic childhood happened in Florida, sometimes in Kentucky, sometimes in Oklahoma. Sometimes she had one sibling, sometimes two. Sometimes her parents were drug addicts. Other times they were strict religious fanatics. Sometimes she said she grew up on a farm. Other times she insisted it was an apartment complex in the city. When I asked questions, she always had some emotional explanation. It's hard to talk about. My therapist says my memories are fragmented. I try not to think about it too much, and every time she cried, I backed off. Her nightmares grew worse too. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. to her crying, hyperventilating, sometimes shaking, and she'd grab my arm and whisper, "Don't make me go back. Please don't send me back." Though she could never explain what she meant. She claimed she couldn't contact extended family because they wanted nothing to do with her. But her stories changed every time I tried to understand. Sometimes they were dead, sometimes estranged, sometimes abusive, sometimes living somewhere she refused to talk about. And every time she'd tense up, breathe fast and look at me like I'd stabbed her, which made me feel guilty for even asking. Then one day she got sick, not physically, emotionally. She broke down in the kitchen, sobbing, shaking, saying she couldn't carry it anymore, and told me she needed time off work. I encouraged her to see a therapist, and she did. But every time she came home from a session, she looked even more drained. Then came the panic attacks, real ones, not faked. I know what panic attacks look like. And she began telling me small new memories she said were resurfacing through therapy. Memories of camps, memories of being taken away, memories of running from people who wanted to hurt her. The stories got darker and darker. My heart ached for her. I wanted nothing more than to protect her. But the thing that finally made me question everything wasn't a story she told. It was the way she reacted when I suggested connecting with someone, anyone, from her past, so she wouldn't feel so alone. She snapped at me, not in fear, not in sadness, but in anger, sharp, cutting anger. "Don't you ever ask about them again," she hissed. And it didn't feel like trauma. It felt like threat. Still, I tried to let it go. Until the day a letter arrived. It was addressed to Emily, from a small town in Georgia, and curiosity ate at me, because she always claimed she had no one left. She snatched the letter the moment she saw it, stuffed it into her purse, and said it was junk mail. But later that night, after she fell asleep, I saw the corner of the envelope sticking out of her bag. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The letter was from a woman named Deborah, written in shaky but heartfelt handwriting, saying, "I'm glad you're safe, sweetheart. We've missed you. Please call us. The return address was a residential street. No shelters, no clinics, no institutions. My stomach dropped. I Googled the name and found a phone number. I stared at the phone for an hour before calling. A man answered, older, gentle voice. And when I asked if he knew an Emily Parker, he said, "Oh, thank goodness. We've been trying to reach her. How is she? We haven't seen her since she walked out 3 years ago. She just stopped answering calls." I froze. He told me Emily wasn't abused, wasn't abandoned. She had grown up in a loving home with 2 retired school teachers. She had never raised a sibling. She never survived a traumatic childhood. She had a perfectly normal upbringing. She had a real family, one she ghosted for reasons they didn't understand. And the younger brother, he didn't exist. She had made him up. When I told him she claimed he died in a car accident, the man went silent, then quietly said, "Sir, Emily was never in any accident. She was a good student, had friends, had a sweet life, at least from what we knew. I don't know why she would tell you these things." I felt the world tip sideways. For 2 years, I had built my life around comforting a woman whose entire past was fiction. When I confronted her the next morning, letter in hand, voice trembling, she didn't deny it. She didn't even look shocked. She just sat down at the kitchen table and stared at the floor. "You weren't supposed to know," she whispered. "You wouldn't have stayed if you knew the real me." That hit me harder than the lies. She explained, not tearfully, not dramatically, just tiredly, that she had always been boring, invisible, overlooked. She wanted to be someone worth protecting, someone with depth, someone damaged but resilient. She admitted she made up the trauma, the brother, the abusive parents, the nightmares, all of it. She said she lied because people listened more when she cried, because she never felt important, because she wanted to be loved, the way she had seen in movies. I sat there in shock, trying to decide whether to scream or cry or walk out. She begged me not to leave, saying she would fix the story like this was some creative writing assignment instead of our marriage. When I told her I contacted her real family, she panicked, not for moral reasons, but because she was embarrassed. She said she couldn't face them because she didn't know how to explain the lies. That's when I realized she wasn't mentally unwell. She was addicted to attention, addicted to pity, addicted to the role of survivor. And I realized I couldn't live like that anymore. The trust wasn't broken, it was obliterated. I left that day, packed a duffel bag, climbed into my truck, and drove until the town disappeared behind me in the rearview mirror. Emily sent me countless messages, apologies, explanations, even new lies trying to cover the old ones. Her family reached out thanking me for telling them she was alive and safe. They arranged help for her, and from what I've heard, she eventually agreed to get real therapy. I don't hate her. I don't even think she's evil. I think she's someone who got so used to performing pain that she forgot how to be a real person. As for me, I'm rebuilding. Learning to trust again. Learning that love built on lies isn't love at all, it's theater. And I'm done being part of someone else's script. If you like this story, please like and subscribe for more.